Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, so we're reviewing on that most important prayer, and that's the prayer of Shemona Esrei. So that's, or another word for it is called the Amida, because that's the prayer that you see people, Amid is to stand. So you see people standing, feet together, the whole shul is quiet. If you've ever been at the kotel, it's one of the most beautiful moments. It's like suddenly everybody is quiet. Like there's a lot of noise at the kotel, all the different minions and everybody's, davening in their own way. And then suddenly, shh, and everyone stands silent in the Amida. So it's really something special. So we said, why is the Amida more special than any other prayer? It's written by the Anshe Knesset Hagadola, the men of the Great Assembly, 120 great rabbis. Among them were prophets. So the words inside the Amida, we have to appreciate, are prophetic. It's not just, it's poetic and it's nice and the rabbis wanted to say it. No, it's really prophetic words. All right. So it's very important for us to know that what you're saying is really what God understood as the best way for you to pray. And what God understood is the best way for you to articulate your needs. And it actually goes in a special order, which we're going to learn about. So the best thing that you can do, the great rabbis, Rabbi Chaim Volozhiner, and even the Arizal, who he said he learned from a malach, he learned with a malach, that the most important thing you have to do with the Amida is to really try to concentrate, which we know is very hard. Okay, so you will see that the Amida in and of itself is always trying to give you ways to kind of wake you up and help you concentrate. But the first and most important way is that you have to know what the words mean. So we're going to learn what the words mean on a very surface level, but we're also going to dig down deep and realize the depth in the words. So let's just get ourselves psyched up. Okay, so to get yourself psyched up to say the Amida, first and foremost, they say if you don't have time to really do a lot of prayer, you should do the Amida first. Okay, and there's one prayer, one bracha that you say right before the Amida is started, and that's Baruch Atah Hashem Goal Yisroel. Blessed are you, God, who redeemed in the past the Jewish people. So we have to appreciate, what was that redemption? What's the redemption of the past that we're talking about when we say in the past God redeemed the Jewish people? What is that redemption?
Took us out of Egypt.
Yes. Okay. Yay. I love it. I love when people answer. Perfect. He took us out of Egypt. Now, I want you to know that this is considered the biggest moment. It was one of the biggest moments in history. And Hashem says, I don't have to repeat my light and sound show. You want to know that I am God. You want to know that you're the Jewish people. Then remember the fact that I took you out of Egypt. And therefore, he puts it in your tefillin and in your tzitzit, in your mezuzah, and in your mezuzah. Talk about it all day long. Okay, it's something you're supposed to remember. All the prayers go around it. Even keeping Shabbos is mentioned, that Hashem took us out of Egypt when you make the Kiddush. It's nonstop, because Hashem wants you to remember, Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Hotzeisicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim. I redeemed you, right? I redeemed you. I made you my special nation, and I promised you that this will be your status forever. And even if you get thrown out of the land, I promise you that I will take you back. And like I redeemed you once, I will redeem you again. So that's a very important, that's a very uplifting message. So now I'm going into Shemona Esrei, right? And you know what's interesting about Shemona Esrei? The brilliant say Shemona Esrei, the not so smart say Shemona Esrei, the old, the young, and everybody in between. And we have been saying Shemona Esrei for thousands of years. It is a prayer that the Torah tells you it's eternal until we're going to get into Mashiach's time. This was meant to be our anchor. So when we're going to get into Shemona Esrei, you're going to be asking Hashem for things in your personal life. But it's interesting, you'll never ask it personally. You're asking for health, but it's health for everybody. You're asking for wisdom, but it's wisdom for everybody. It's so cute, because what do we say? The mitzvah of prayer is also the mitzvah of V'ahavta l'reyacha kamocha. It's a very interesting idea. There's many people when they start, before they say Psuke de Zimra, before they say Esrei and Oz Yashir and that whole section, which we said was like the dating Hashem section, getting to know him, understanding him in history, understanding Hashem, that dating part, you say in your mind, I'm about to do the mitzvah of V'ahavta l'reyacha kamocha, because we're forever in our prayers taking everybody into account. It's like really a beautiful idea. Like I really Achenu kol beis Yisrael. Like we're always asking. It's not good enough just for me to have it. I want everyone to have it. It's like a really very beautiful idea. Okay, so Shem is saying, took you out once, take you out again, and now you'll see when you're davening Shemona Esrei, now you're saying, yes, please Hashem, like you took us out, bring us back. You took us out, please bring us back. So what you want to do is get the right focus. Okay, so the first thing you do is you're going to take those 3 steps back. Now they're not 3 giant steps, they're 3 modest steps back. Okay, so why am I taking steps back? Because first and foremost, I got to get my head on straight. I got to move out of the position. When you want to be able to see something, what do they tell you? Take a step back, right? You want to look at artwork. The worst thing you can do is go right up like this in front of the painting. You're never going to get to see the real depth. So you got to take a step back. It's almost like what we're trying to do is slow down. We're really trying to get in a zone, because we said, what did we say Shemona Esrei was when you looked at the dating process? We said the Psuke de Zimra, get to know you. Shema Yisroel, I'm engaged. Okay. Now, what's Shemona Esrei? Does anybody remember?
In the Yichud room
Yes.
together.
Love you, Viora. So it's the Yichud room. What's the Yichud room? That's the most private time. And that's the time that really cements the couple, that they are allowed to be alone together. They belong to each other now. They don't belong to anybody else. They're allowed to be alone in a room together. It's a big thing. Okay. So now you want to step back. You're marking your territory. You're also stepping back for practical reasons too. You want to make sure, you've got a space. You have your little area. So you go 1, 2, 3. And then what did we say you do?
Go forward.
Forward. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now when you go back, which leg do you go back with? Which one do you start stepping back with, left or right?
Left.
Left. Excellent. Okay, left is considered the weaker leg. It's you're hesitant to move away from where Hashem would be. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like you're going to use the right. And then to come forward, which leg are you going to use?
Right.
Okay. So also let's think again. Always good for you to know the right hand is considered chesed and the left hand is considered gvura. Okay. So what do you see? I see when I exercise with people, the majority of people are right or lefties.
Right.
Right. Okay. So majority of people are righties. Hashem is trying to tell you, the stronger part of you should be chesed, right? They say you should embrace people with the right and push them away with the left. If you have to push someone away, you should push him away with the left, which means not with force and not with, you have to consider it before you push someone away. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just an interesting idea. Okay, so we're going back with the left. Do you remember this commercial, let your fingers do the walking in the yellow?
Yeah.
Through the yellow pages. Forget that.
Members, did anybody put their Barbie shoes on the bottom of these?
Yeah.
Okay. I was teaching a group of ladies who were really young. They were 20. And I said, did anybody put their Barbie shoes? They thought I was from the moon. I was thinking, oh my God, big boo-boo. Shouldn't have said. So anyway, so here you're going the left and now you're coming up with the right. And what did we say? How do my feet look? Are they like this or like this? Are they apart?
Together.
Together.
So I really want people to learn this because so many people, when they do Shemona Esrei, are not necessarily standing with the right postures. And there is a purpose for the posture. Okay, so why did we say we stand with the 2 feet together?
Because we're like angels.
Okay, so when we're like angels, an angel is called an omaid. An angel only stands. He can only move and walk and do something if Hashem tells him to. And he really stands ready and wait to do Hashem's bidding. He does that one job, and then usually he doesn't get another assignment. Okay, so let's take a look at people. We're called a holech. We're always moving, we're always moving and grooving, and we're all over the place. So when we're coming up, we're saying, okay, that's it. I'm not moving anymore. I'm not thinking about, how I have to go to the cleaners or finish my job or pay my taxes. I'm not thinking about any of that. I've stopped moving. All right. And I not only have I stopped moving, but I actually am recognizing Hashem really wanted to stop me in my tracks. He could. Like, I'm very grateful for the fact that I can move and I can this and I can that. But now is my priority. What's my priority now? To be in this yichud room with you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to do something that's really hard for people to do. Listen. I'm going to be present. Could you imagine this? In the moment. And I am just going to listen. That's what I am going to do. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to be present. I'm going to listen. And what am I going to listen to? I'm even going to listen to my own words. Okay? So what I'm going to tell you is very important. I keep seeing people years and years after learning how to daven and keep Shabbos and do this and do that, who are not davening properly. You need to move your lips. Even if you are reading the English, this is not like when you read a book, you're reading it almost like in your head. Why does the Torah want you to move your lips? What's the point of articulating words? Zoomer, you want to answer? No, okay. Does anyone? Yeah.
You'll hear it.
What?
So that you will hear it.
Yeah. Because when I say a word, right, it makes it a reality, right? If I keep a thought in my head, you have no idea what I'm really thinking. Unless I start to articulate and really say something, you don't know what I'm talking about. So when it comes to speaking to Hashem, face to face, you're going to speak very, privately. Now, listen why the rabbis did this. Like, this is really unbelievable. Because when you look in Shemona Esrei, when we're going to get into the text itself, you'll see there's a part in the text for people to ask for their personal prayers. So the rabbi said, we don't want to embarrass anybody. It's an interesting idea. Like, if everybody would be talking really out loud, like other parts of the prayer, people could scream, Shema! People scream the Shema. When you're in the shul, everybody's screaming the Shema. In Shemona Esrei, you're not screaming because there's a part of Shemona Esrei that's personal. And it shouldn't be that I'm saying it so loud that my next door neighbor can hear what I'm saying. When you're saying Shemona Esrei, you have to be able to hear the words. So it's like almost like a whisper, right? It's almost like a whisper. You're whispering them like Hashem Sefosai Tiftach, but you're not going Hashem Sefosai. Do you know what I mean? There's a whisper here. There's words that are being articulated. You're hearing them. Hashem's hearing them, and you're feeling your breath. When a person feels their breath, Neshima is the word for breath in Hebrew. Neshama is the word for soul in Hebrew. Hashem blew in his neshima, his breath, which turned to be the soul that we have inside of us. So that's another reason why we're saying it in this format, okay? So now, before you bring this, so we said, Baruch Atah Hashem, Goel Yisrael, right? That's usually that last bracha before Shemona Esrei starts. Okay, we say that. Then we do, listen carefully. We go back with our feet, and then we go forward. Does anybody remember what we learned last week? That when we were going forward, what was the concept? You're stepping up to the plate. What does that mean? There's an expression, that like you've got to step up to the plate. Right now, there's a war in Israel. You have to step up to the plate. What does that mean?
You have to
Gotta
do your
up to the
part.
challenge.
Yes, you have to do your part. Right now, there's a war, right? You got to step up. You have to give more charity. You have to do more prayer. You have to say more Tehillim. You have to be kinder to people. You have to tell Hashem, like, we really need your help. This isn't a simple story. We need your help all the time. But now we are on crisis mode, right? And the longer this war is going to take, chas v'shalom, the more it's going to take of our kishkas, you know, and our patience and our enthusiasm, right? So now, especially now, what's the holiday that's coming up on Thursday?
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
Yeah, what's so special about Hanukkah?
We can up.
You
What's
get
it?
to eat latkes.
Yeah, okay, you get to eat latkes. Okay, what else?
You bring
Hashem is
light
critical.
in the darkness.
Yeah, okay, you fought you were at war, okay? You were at war. And what happened? It was the few against the many, right? It was the impure against the pure. It was the mighty against the weak. I wouldn't say Israel's weak, but we're so outnumbered. Do you understand that? When you're so outnumbered, you are at such a deficit, right? For every, like, one of our soldiers, chas v'shalom, passes away, it's a huge tragedy. And he's not replaced by 10 other people lined up to take on this war. We have to really appreciate what's going on here. So right now, like, you need to step up to the plate. This is Hanukkah. The energy is out there. The energy of what? Miracles is out there. Guess what? We need a miracle, right? And with the anti-Semitism that's rising outside of Israel, it is crazy. You know, they're trying right now to pass a bill in Congress against the anti-Semitism on university campuses. Like, universities are doing nothing against what's going on, and you're not appreciating what's happening. Like, the Arabs are hiring people, letting other people come in onto the university campus that have nothing to do with the university. They're not a student of Harvard. They're not a student of Penn State. They're not a student of any of these universities. It's just people coming and terrorizing the Jewish students. Like, Jewish students really are at risk right now. It's not a joke, right? And on social media, they're threatening them. Like, it's crazy, okay? So we really have to step up to the plate. So we said, when we step up with 3 Jewish heroes who stepped up to the plate. One was Avraham. Remember, we said he davened that the tzaddikim in Sodom should not be killed. In other words, he's saying to Hashem, righteous people save the world on behalf of some of the righteous people out there, right? And then we said Yehuda. Does anybody remember, how did Yehuda step up to the plate? Anybody remember?
Achenu kol beit Yisrael.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so he stepped up to the plate because he went up in front of Yosef, who at that time, he's the viceroy of Egypt. The brothers have no idea, but they know that this viceroy of Egypt is making them crazy. And he took Binyamin and he took Shimon. And finally, Yehuda said, I had enough. I am not leaving this palace without my brothers. If you have to kill me, fine, I'll kill you first, but I'm not out of here without my brothers. And then the last one to step up to the plate was Eliyahu a Navi, who also risked his life. And he confronted, and his time, the Jewish people were worshiping idols, and the prophets were called the prophets of Baal, and they were super popular. And Eliyahu a Navi stood up to them, and he said, you're fake, right? So these are 3 like people stepping up to the plate. So when you're coming up to your Shemona Esrei, you say to yourself, I'm stepping up to the plate. Hashem, I'm concerned for the world. I'm concerned for the Jewish people. And I'm mostly concerned for you because this isn't good for you. It's not good for your name. This is not a Kiddush Hashem. Wars in Israel and wars like this are a Chilul Hashem. Right? When the Arabs, like, you know, are Allah Akbar, you know what I mean? They're all screaming about their God, and look what such a vicious religion. Like, from all the 3 major religions, Judaism does not try to convert people under any circumstances. We only want you to convert if you love God. We don't want to convert you if you either convert or we burn you on the cross, or we don't want to convert you, either you convert or we chop your head off. And I don't even know if in Islam they would take Jewish converts. I don't even know if they do. I don't even know. Right now, they're not looking for us to convert, as far as I can see. You know what I mean? No one's asking, well, by the way, if you would be, under Shira, like they're not. So that's not the issue. But the issue is that we have to step up to daven. That is the issue. And to daven more now, right, during Hanukkah than any other time, because now you can pull down those sparks of miraculous spiritual energy that's outside of there, that's out there. So now the next line, which is very, very interesting, is Hashem, if anyone's looking in their siddur, it's good. Hashem sifosai tiftach, ufi yagi tehila secha. So that you say before you're even going to say anything else. But do you understand what I just did? I do not move with the words Hashem sifosai tiftach. I feel like people do that. It's not. You go back 3, you go forward 3, you stand in place. You're not moving around anymore. You're not lifting up your leg. You are just standing right here, just like this. And then you say those words, Hashem sifosai tiftach ufi agiti losecha. Okay, which is like Hashem, open my mouth, and then my lips can praise you. So now we're going to learn, where is that coming from, and what is it that it's trying to teach you? Okay, so let's take a look at what it is and what it's trying to teach us. Okay, so let me just see. Okay, so the very first thing is, picture this. Okay. You're getting this opportunity to talk to Hashem, okay? Hashem is Avinu Malkeinu, the Almighty, the Master, the Creator, the Supervisor. So how are you feeling? Like when you would have to even speak, anybody, when you have to speak in public, right? Like you're going to get in front of an audience of 500 people. Okay, so how do most people feel?
Nervous.
My feet shake.
Yeah. You really get nervous, okay? You're like, it's like a very scary experience. Like I've been to places, I remember once at a big dinner where, somebody was like just a kind of a lay person, and they had the lay person had to come up, and was supposed to give a little speech about the shul and the people that the shul was honoring. And I felt so sorry for her. Like she could barely do it. Like she was like shaking and the words weren't coming out properly. And you just wanted to cry for her. You really did. So when we have to speak to Hashem, like if we really took what that moment was really worth, you'd realize that you want to say to him, like, help me open my mouth so I could say the right things. Do you know what I mean? Like, Hashem, I need help. Like I'm scared, right? So there's one idea, is this idea that, help, like you're so awesome, right? Like I'm having this amazing opportunity. I don't want to waste it. Like, let me say the right thing, right? And the second idea, which is a really beautiful idea, is that you have to know that the purpose of speech is primarily for us to speak to God. That's an interesting idea. Like it wasn't really created necessarily just for us to speak to everyone else. So how do we know? Because when Hashem created Adam Harishon, when God created the first man, and he blew into him this neshama and gave him the ability to speak, which makes us surpass animals. Like animals have sounds, like roof, roof, meow, meow. You know what I mean? And sometimes animals can signal each other. You know what I mean? But they don't have a very developed vocabulary. No animal is writing poetry, and no animal has these deep thoughts, of how to change the world. Like their speech is a very limited sounds. That's really what it is, right? Probably for eating and, you know what I mean, and attacking, but there's, you know what I mean, nothing of any real great depth, very instinctual noise. All right. So when Hashem created Adam Harishon and he gave him speech, like, whoa, okay, now he was completely lifted above the animals. Who was he supposed to speak to? Chava was not created.
God.
Yes. And what did Hashem do? He purposefully left all of the vegetation, like just peeking out of the ground. And Adam HaRishon had to say to Hashem, like, Hashem, please let the vegetation grow by bringing the rain. Please do something to help this vegetation grow. So in other words, like Hashem said, you will be a partner with me in creation. And one of the greatest ways that you will partner with me is through speech. And if we really are honest with ourselves, you see right now, look at the power of speech. Do you see what's going on out there? Like, take a deep breath. Right? And think about it. When they're Hamas, people who are pro-Palestinians, when they're rallying, do you see how much they're trying to manipulate speech? Right? From the river to the sea.
Yeah.
Right? Right? And this whole idea, like, I don't know if anybody saw this, but there was like a rally. I don't understand I think it was in Philadelphia. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I believe it was in Philadelphia where they rallied in front of a Jewish delicatessen, okay? And it was a Jewish owner, and 200 people came screaming and yelling, and her name was Goldie, and they kept saying, Goldie, Goldie, come outside, you're part of the genocide. Do you imagine? So what I'm trying to say, it's such a manipulation of speech. Look how effective it was. I even can remember. Do you know what I mean? And they scared this person. I think she was an Israeli who owned the delicatessen. It is not normal, right? And all of the hate speech all over social media, all over. Speech, really, you should know, Hitler, Yamach Shemo, didn't shoot a gun. It was all speech. So we have to really be careful what's going on here. So Hashem said, I created speech, not for you to gossip about other people and not for you to take people down with your speech. I created speech for you to lift people, right? Life and death is in here. That's what they said. Life and death is in the mouth. So Hashem said, I want you to bring life with your speech. So that will be kind words, enabling words, words that are sympathetic and empathetic. It's also tefillah, and it's also Torah. Those are the words that are the most valuable. And right now, when it comes to the holiday of Hanukkah, you have to really work with your speech, right? You make beautiful brachas over the candles, and you're going to have guests and people in your house, and you're going to want to make them happy and freiluchs. You got to be careful with how you're speaking to everybody, right? Because sometimes when you have a Hanukkah party, you got to invite people you don't always love. But they're your brother-in-law, so they have to come. So, And so, have to be really careful with your speech, okay? So we're saying, Hashem sefosai tiftach, you created my mouth, right? You gave me the ability to speak. And it's interesting, Rav Chaim Kanievsky of blessed memory, what does he say? Zecher Tzadik Livracha, what does he say? He says that, if you look in the Chumash, in the Parsha, where Bilam, who's like a wicked prophet of the non-Jewish world, he goes to curse the Jews, all right? And Hashem told him, I don't want you to go. So they say a miracle happened, and his donkey opens up his mouth, and the donkey says, you're not supposed to go, all right? I've been trying to stop you, and you keep hitting me, and it's not a good idea to go. And let's be real, donkeys don't usually talk, except for Ed, the talking horse, right? But they're not supposed to be able to talk, right? So it was a miracle. So Rav Chaim Kanievsky says, when you say Shemona Esrei and you say Hashem sefosai tiftach, remember that it's a miracle that you can talk. And it's so funny because my daughter's a speech therapist. Anyone who's how Hashem made all these specialties for every little part of our body, like the ear, nose, and throat, and the this and the that. So when you're a speech therapist, my daughter will tell me, you have no idea how much is involved, right? The tongue and the teeth and the way you put your this and how you hold your face and blah, blah, blah. There's so many intricacies in the fact that we have the ability to speak, Chalila v'chas, if anyone has a stroke, you know what I mean? You want to just cry for them, right? So even Hashem sefosai tiftach is also a moment to just say, you know what, Hashem, you're the one. Thank you so much for the gift of speech. You see how many beautiful ideas are just in the first couple words. You haven't even started Shemona Esrei yet. Okay, you already have this whole, amazing reality going on. Okay, so let me see. I just want to make sure I'm getting them all. So we said the one that speech was primarily created for davening. Speech is what makes us much greater than the animals. You have a awesomeness. So you're kind of choked up. So you're asking Hashem to open up your mouth. It's interesting that Divrei Sons is a great rabbi. So they used to ask him, like, what do you do before you daven? Like, how do you psych yourself up for it? So he used to say, I daven that I could daven. Did you get that? Like, what do you do before davening? Hashem sifasai tiftach. I daven to Hashem.
You froze up, Rabbitson.
Oh dear, the screen is frozen.
I think she left, yeah. Leora,
I think her screen is frozen somehow.
Yeah, it is.
see her.
Something happened there.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Gail left. She just left.
She did?
Yeah,
She'll come
I
back.
just- she'll come back in.
Yeah, she'll come back in. Hopefully.
I'm sure.